Packer fans. My name is John, and this is my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 1980s of Packers football and lived to talk about it. And this podcast is dedicated to always the world's greatest fans, Packer fans. So I'm going to get right into it, Andy. Hello, before we get right into it, actually, how are you doing, buddy? How you doing? How's everything going?
I've been better, John. I've been better. But we kind of predicted this, didn't we?
Okay.
So, unfortunately, we predicted it.
We did on Packers Blitz. Yeah. Okay. So, in today's Packer Blitz, it's going to be a little scary. It's going to be a little spooky because if you've watched Packer games in the past couple weeks, you will know it's a scary offense and a very spooky and creepy offense. And we have some issues. So, but I'm going to get right into it. And I went to the game on October 29th against the Vikings. Okay, so here's the first two things. One, Viking fans suck. Okay, they always suck. And I'll get to why here in a second. I think about 98% of them suck. There is some 2% who don't suck. Really quickly, I work with a diehard Viking fan who actually was a really good Viking fan because he said, we have won nothing. We have done nothing. Every time we get close, like in 1999, which is a long time ago, and in the 70s where they were in the Super Bowls, a long time ago, and one Hall of Fame quarterback in Fran Tarkenton. By the way, he's not that good. So everybody just, you can argue with me. Bring it on, Viking fans. Okay, here's the thing. First of all, I was telling Andy offline here, there was about 55% Packer fans and about 45%, and I'm not kidding, Viking fans. I've never, ever, in the 20 years I've been going to Lambeau, seen that disparity. The other thing is, they started the skull chant, okay? They skull, but it's whatever. They don't understand history. That is not meant for that. That is meant for friendly conversation when you're like, when the Vikings were, and I'll just do this really quickly, when the real Viking warriors were together, when they were celebrating, they would say skull, and they would bump their tankards of ale or whatever they were drinking and say skull. Kind of a nice way of saying cheers. So it has nothing to do Viking fans. Second of all, Viking fans, Vikings were never in your state. That rune that you found, and Andy, you probably don't know much about this, but I'll explain really quickly. That Viking rune that you found has been basically by scientists said it's not real. So why did you call yourself the Vikings? Because you thought Vikings were there. They weren't there. So that's the second thing. The third thing is you're not going to the Super Bowl, Viking fans. And now with Kirk Cousins gone for the year, you are totally effed in the B. And welcome to us because you do not have a quarterback and you're not going to get a quarterback. And when I was watching the game, Packer fans, I know you'll be like, which game are you watching, John? They're not much better than us. Our defense held them for the most part. There was a lot of mistakes, and we'll get into some of the players and stuff. So the reasons I hate Viking fans is, one, they have no sense of history. Two, they're totally in fantasy land about their team. And three, look, when you're in somebody's house, when you're in Lambeau Field, this is a holy place, okay? This is the holiest of holy, okay? This is the Vatican, okay? Or Mount Rushmore, or whatever places you want to say that are considered legendary, like holy. Like this is the Mecca of football, okay? You don't go in there and start a skull chant, okay? That's dumb. And when they started it, when I said to Andy, they started it, and Packer fans squashed that quickly, which I'm glad. There was not any violence. There might have been violence at the game, which I don't like. I did not have, and I want to apologize, and I know you're probably not listening, but I had an older Viking couple fans sitting in front of me. The old guy would not shut up. And he kept cheering, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But he kept standing up, and he went overboard a little bit. So I had to check him. Let's just say that. I did it nicely. No one's hurt. Wasn't my greatest moment. I do apologize for that, because that is not good sportsmanship. But the whole atmosphere of the game was, oh man, we're terrible, and this is not working, and this is uncharted territory for us. That's what I kept hearing on my way home, listening to the aftercast of the game. I love some of these guys are really good, but like Wody and Tausch, Jason Wody, he's been doing this for so long, he's removed himself from it. But even he is like, what's going on? And Tausch, when people get on there and they start screaming and yelling, it's Murphy, it's this guy, it's that guy. He steps in and goes, hey guys, I get it. We have some problems. We have some injuries. Tausch was calling out players. He was calling out Jair Alexander, who doesn't look like he wants to tackle anymore. He was calling out Josh Myers for missing blocks. He was calling out some of the other defensive guys. So I like when players do that, who played the game in a high level. This is Mark Tauscher, Packer Hall of Fame. So the whole consensus out of the game was, we're not very good, but I don't blame Jordan Love, and we'll get into that. He needs help. Laflueer didn't give him any help again, and that is really, really becoming a problem. The other thing about the game was, when it got to about 3 minutes, people left. Now that rarely happens. So I was like, oh boy, here we go. We're like all the other fans, and we're better than the other fans. We are better than Viking fans. We're better than Bear fans, better than Lions fans, okay? And the thing is about this podcast, we don't want to be all doom and gloom, okay? We want to bring some positive to this by showing that we're reality, right? And I'm going to take back a couple quick things. One, Mark Tauscher was right about two things, okay? One, he said, for all the people that want to put Sean Clifford in there, you're basically destroying the development of Jordan Love. What you're saying is, if you bench Jordan Love, which I said, and Andy is kind of thought that way too, you are basically stopping his development and not being able for him to try, okay? So the Sean Clifford, I totally walked that one back. That's a really stupid idea, okay? But I will not walk back the fact that Laflueer has to think of a way to figure this out, and he is now on the warm seat, because Mark Tauscher said, hey, the reason he's getting a break is because his 13-4 seasons, going to NFC Championship games, well, those were a long time ago. And now it's time to bring back the Packers, which Andy and I have said for many episodes that this really, really has to step it up. The season's over, folks, unless there's a miracle that happens, but we just don't have the team anymore to really fix the problem. And a lot of Packer fans that were there, I just wind up by saying this, was they have not seen losing. Like I said, it's uncharted territory. My son, my daughter, Andy's sons, all they've seen for the most part is winning and Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So this is new, and we don't like it. So I just think that Packer fans, hey, we're the best fans. We got to support our Packers. This is all we have. We don't have another team, okay, in football. We're not like California where you have 3 teams. This is it. And this, like I said, they belong to us. This is a part of us. So we have to support them. But we also have to be realistic with management and say, hey, what's going on? What happened? And a lot of people too were talking about we could have had a dynasty, and people said we were going to have a dynasty after the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh and winning that. And then, well, that's what happens. So anyway, that was, I don't know if you wanted to add anything before we get to the news and notes, but the atmosphere doesn't look too good. That's, I guess, is the big takeaway too. So, Andy, anything to add?
John, I will mention I did, watch quite a bit of Fran Tarkenton. He was one of the first, running quarterbacks, and he was good.
Okay.
I think he was worthy.
Yeah, but he was not Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Really?
In my opinion, he was. He took the Vikings. He took the Vikings to, I believe, 4 Super Bowls. So that's got to amount to something, I would guess. But
I guess so.
They lost. They lost all 4 times, correct?
All 4
I think they lost to Kansas City. They lost to the Dolphins. They lost to the Steelers, and they lost to the Raiders. All 4 of those teams. I think it was 4 times. So there's kind of a correlation between his career and kind of Joe Kelly's career with the Buffalo Bills, because he also lost 4, and it just happened to be, I believe, 4 straight. But there are
which would never be done before.
The other thing that Fran had going for him is he had a great running back in Chuck Foreman, I believe his name was, and he was Chuck awesome. Foreman. Yep. And then their defense.
And Bud Grant was a great coach.
Fantastic.
The Purple People
defense. So there was one guy on there. His name was, I believe, Alan Page. And don't ask me how I remember his name, but that guy could play. And so they had a fantastic defense. And that was one of the main reasons that they made it to so many Super Bowls too. So I just wanted to mention that.
Absolutely.
Call out to them. They did have and Bud Grant. God rest his soul. There are some correlations there between the Vikings though and the Bills. So, but at least they got there 4 times with them. So kudos to them for that.
It was the 70s.
Doing a lot.
It was the 70s.
And they were doing better than the Packers were doing. That was for sure. So at least they were
dominated the 60s. Get out of here.
Right.
5 championships.
So John and I are going to try to keep this under an hour. And
sorry, we got off.
John went off for a while, but I figured I'd bring that up.
Sorry,
John is right. John is right 99% of the time, but he's not right about that, in my opinion. But agree to disagree. Right. Okay. So Packers news and notes. Let's talk about a few things, John. So just like John, Simone Biles was in attendance at the Packers game on Sunday. John, did you see her at all? Did you see Simone on the field? Okay.
No,
she was on the field either before the game or after. I saw some pictures of her, so I think it was probably before the game. Well, her presence did not bear any fruit for the Packers win tree. I wish one of our players was dating Taylor Swift. Maybe Swifties could then will the Packers to victory with their Swiftiness. Nothing else is helping. Maybe that uplifting support would. Who knows? So I know you're not a big Taylor Swift fan, but anything could help.
I'm not.
Right? Right, John?
Well, yes. Yes.
Yes. Anything. So just an update, a Packer Blitz update from multiple episodes. We've been talking about former Packers middle linebacker Blake Martinez. And I just want to let everybody know that he's attempting an NFL comeback. He tried out with the Carolina Panthers last Wednesday. Didn't look like he got signed. I kind of checked into that. Didn't look like anything's happening at the moment. Martinez told CNBC Make It, and I have no idea what that is. And this is a quote from him. Every single day when I wake up, my shoulder doesn't hurt and my back doesn't hurt anymore. When all that hurts are my fingers from opening like 1,000 packs of cards per day, I think I'm going to keep doing this. So I think he was referring to playing football. Well, Blake, as we
Okay.
have discussed in previous episodes, don't lie to the public. It's your legal issues with your Pokemon trading card business, Blake's Breaks.
Yeah.
That is the possible, the probable reason for your return to the NFL. If what you say is true and your body doesn't hurt anymore, then John's and my recommendation, I probably can speak for John, would be to enjoy your retirement pain free. With all the
Absolutely.
rash of injuries in the NFL lately, why come back? John, any opinion on that? So Blake's maybe coming back.
That I totally agree with you. Dude, take the money and run and get through your legal troubles. It's dumb. Don't make it come back.
I don't get it, but
live your life.
I'm sure he's feeling good, so he's got this passion to return. I understand. I mean, if I had the talent and that he has, that he probably still has to play the game, that I'd probably be doing the same thing. I really would recommend, just live your life, be happy and be healthy, and
live your
move
life,
on.
buddy.
It's not like he doesn't have some money.
Yeah.
His net worth is quite high, so I think he's all right. He could probably retire if he wanted
you're right,
to.
buddy.
So. Right. Packers legend. This is the second thing I want to talk about. Packers legend and former wide receiver Donald Driver played 14 seasons for the Green and Gold. He had 7 seasons of at least 1,000 yards, including 6 straight from 2004 to 2009. If he was allowed to play fantasy football, he would have picked himself plenty of times for his fantasy team. Now that he's a former player, he gets to feel like a general manager and play fantasy football himself. Back in the day, he was unable to. The very interesting comment that Donald made recently is that he uses AI technology instead of his insider info to help him. Driver has partnered with IBM, whose Watson app has been helping ESPN fantasy participants the last 7 years. Its technology helps fantasy managers, including Donald Driver, to see who should be drafted, traded, cut, benched, and started. Many AI supporters believe its technology evens the playing field among the millions of fantasy players. Packers fans, Packer Blitz fans, if you're all wondering, Donald Driver's fantasy team is 2-5. About the same record as the Packers, John. That is the same record. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So he's 2-5. He's using AI. He's probably using AI too, but anyway, personally, as a fantasy football fanatic, I think that it's a cautionary tale. Err on the side of caution. Whether you use AI, fantasy gurus, or even Vegas odds makers to help you win, the reality is that to be a true manager of your team, you just have to go with your gut. Goody, I'm talking to you. Even Vegas cannot correctly predict the majority of the Packer games in which it has picked them to win every single game. How has that worked out so far, John? There's some people. Okay, so John, because we want to get this thing going. Unless you have something you want to talk about regarding that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you for sharing. No, thank you for sharing. Very interesting. Thank you.
I saved the best for last. The Packers and their standout pass rusher, Rashawn Gary, inked a new deal on a big contract extension of 4 years, $107.5 million. He is now one of the highest paid non-quarterbacks in the NFL, but remains behind a few players at his own position, like Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, TJ Watt, and Myles Garrett. This new deal will keep Gary in the fold through 2027. Isn't that awesome, John? The soon-to-be 26-year-old is at 4.5 sacks on the season and is on a pace for 11 sacks in 2023. This was a smart move by the Packers organization to decide to pay a player who is one of the few elite ones on its roster. Let me repeat that again. One of the few elite ones on its roster. John, any thoughts on that? I know that we've talked about it quite a bit. I'm glad it just happened. I really I'm really happy.
I'm glad it's done. For all those, I read some comments today that some Packer fans said this was a bad move. Are you crazy? You don't know football. That get out of my face. That's what I have to say. Because this guy lives. I told you in last week's episode against Denver, he was literally going, "Come on, guys, follow me." Yep. Even like in a movie, like busting down the door, trying to save the damsel in distress. I mean, he did everything. He was, and in this game, he was the same way. He was just. I mean, Minnesota has 2 elite tackles, and he was still giving them fits. And yes, he did not have 4 or 5 sacks or whatever in the game, but he still was causing Kirk Cousins problems. So this is a great move. One of the things again I heard on the way home from Tausch was that he said of all the Packer players, he would keep 2 Packer players and trade the rest. He would keep Rashawn Gary and Elton Jenkins. Everybody else gone. So what do you think of that, Andy?
Wow. Well, yeah, the way they've been playing, you might be right on that. So, yeah. So John, to win a Super Bowl like Kansas City, they've got a quarterback and they have a heck of a tight end, right? So they have a weapon on offense. Usually that will be a wide receiver or a tight end. Then they have Jones on their defensive line. Chris Jones, I believe his name is.
Yep.
So right now,
amazing player.
We've got one guy. We got Rashawn Gary. We're still waiting for the quarterback, and we're still waiting for the wide receiver or tight end, hopefully both. But usually those elements, those players are key to winning a Super Bowl. If you go back and look at the last probably 5-6 Super Bowl winners, usually that's the key ingredient for success.
That's the key. Yep, that's the key.
Correct.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, like the Los Angeles Rams too. Yeah, they had Stafford, they had Cooper Kupp, and then they had the defensive lineman Aaron Donald. So there you go. And that happened just a few years back. So, and we're about to play them this weekend, aren't we, John?
Oh,
okay, so John, if you're all right, we're going to move on to some NFL news and notes. Normally we don't do this. We got some, very interesting things to talk about. So I may be a diehard Packers fanatic. However, I am also an NFL fanboy first and foremost. Here are 2 historic and very interesting achievements that occurred in Week 8 of the 2023 NFL season. Christian McCaffrey has now scored a touchdown in 17 straight games, playoffs included, tying an NFL record held by Hall of Famer Baltimore Colts running back Lenny Moore. According to Jason Owens of Yahoo Sports, and this is what Jason says, the record stood as Moore's alone for nearly 60 years. He completed his 17-game scoring streak over a span from 1963 to 1964, end quote. I'll give McCaffrey credit, too, for faking everybody out. Instead of doing the traditional TD spike, I don't know if you saw this, John, he slowed up his arm motion and kept the historic ball and took it and ran it to the sideline. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, good. I mean, he deserves it. So he's an awesome player.
Yeah, he's good for him.
I wish we had him. Second thing, veteran Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown, he's on my fantasy team, by the way, became the first wide receiver in NFL history to log 125 plus yards in 6 consecutive games, passing a mark previously held by Detroit Lions great Calvin Johnson, who had previously logged 5. So I figured I'd let you guys know about that too. So a couple key things about Christian McCaffrey and AJ Brown. Other
Thank you
NFL
very
news.
much.
We'll talk about
Great
this.
stats.
Couple things. This just happened, John. I don't know if you're going to like this one.
Yeah,
According to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, the Seattle Seahawks have traded for New York Giants Pro Bowl defensive lineman Leonard Williams for a second-round pick and in 2024 and a 2025 fifth-rounder. Side note, that's funny. That's what the Packers just got separately for Aaron Rodgers and for Devontae Adams. Arguably, their two best players. So figured I'd bring that up. Give the 5-2 Seahawks credit with the San Francisco 49ers losing 3 straight games and currently standing at 5-3. The Suckhawks are attempting to make a move to win the NFC West division and get to the Super Bowl in a weak and vulnerable NFC. Hey, I wish the Packers would have done that the last several seasons with a Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers on their team. Yeah, and it's the Seahawks doing that. Bold move. I like it. Aggressive. You got to give them credit. They have a weakness on their defensive line, and they addressed it. So
really quickly, you know who's there? Do you remember who's there? It was a former Packer GM candidate.
Reed. Jerron Reed?
No. John Schneider's their GM.
Right. But on their defensive line right now, one of their interior defensive linemen is Jerron Reed. I believe we had him last year. We let him go.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah. John Schneider.
My whole point is John Schneider, the reason he's keeping the Seahawks relevant is because things like this. And we could have had him. And we have tried going out. Just really quickly, side note, Packer fans, you're sitting out there going, why don't we go after him? Well, what's going on? John Schneider, in so many words, has never coming back to Green Bay. And so I think there's some bad blood there. Something happened. I don't know what it was, but I think it's office drama. We will never get John Schneider unless the new guy taking over from Murray in a couple of years says it's an open checkbook. Blank. What do you want? I don't know. I'm just saying, Packer fans, we get John Schneider pulling some deals instead of sitting on his hands and going, be patient, which we have to be patient. So anyway, next topic.
next thing, just like the Giants, the Packers need to be sellers, not buyers at the trade deadline. The cutoff comes on Halloween tomorrow, October 31st at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
The Packers are still rumored to be buyers in the running back market.
Not going to happen.
That is totally foolish in my opinion. Hopefully John's too. It sounds like it. The Packers' offensive troubles go way beyond just a single skill position at this point. That potential move tells you all that the Packers organization is just trying to save face this season. They're just trying to save face. Do you have a rebuttal on that, or seems like you're in agreement with me? They really need to.
No, I heard that.
They're 2-5.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that, and I went, either somebody's really, really, really smart and they just told a press guy that and he ran with it to cover up who they're looking for. But come on, if they're really looking for something, you're looking for a receiver, right, that you can at least save some face and bring somebody in that at least you have can help these young guys, right? Or go out and get an offensive lineman, or go out and get maybe another linebacker to work with, But again, we've said it so many times, we'll say it again. We have no camp room. We really don't have any players. Even if you say, well, A.J. Dillon, okay, come on, we'd get maybe a fourth for him. Who else do we have? Jair Alexander. Sure, let's trade him. We probably would get a second and a fourth for him, just like the Giants got. And most people are holding out for a first for him, but he comes with a big contract and a lot of baggage. So unless you're a contending team out there who says, you know what, give the Packer draft picks, let them figure it out. Really, I'm sorry. There's just nothing. But I do expect the Packers to make a move that I will guarantee Andy and I will be texting each other tomorrow going, what?
Exactly.
So let's get to the game
need
review.
to be. Yeah, they need to be sellers. I mean, Packers lost again.
They need to be sellers.
Yeah, 4 games in a row. They're 2-5. They lost to the Vikings 24-10.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go through some overall thoughts here, John, and chime in when you want. Not a problem.
No problem.
The Packers have been in 3 games this year where the opposition's quarterback has left the game and has not returned. I think it's been 3: the Saints, the Raiders, and the Vikings.
Right.
Kirk Cousins, again, is apparently done for the season with an Achilles. One would think that those 3 fortunate injuries, fortunate for the Packers, not fortunate for the other teams, would have helped lead us to victory. The Packers are still 1-2 in those games and barely won the other one against the Saints. That is just one word: inconceivable. The Packers have been lucky. The Packers have been lucky that Jordan Love has been healthy, and that doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter. John, chime in if you want. 5 major factors that I came up with. This is like a blueprint for Jordan's lack of success and development, which means you basically have to turn these things around. And this has to do with the game. 5 major factors: mistakes, especially penalties on offense. John and I were texting back and forth during the game about that. He was asking me how many penalties they had. And at the time they had 6 or whatever, but the Packers had 11 in the game for 99 yards overall, with the majority on offense. As a result, the Packers cannot sustain drives and lose the time of possession game. You can't do that with a young quarterback. Oh my gosh, mistakes after mistakes. The receivers aren't catching the damn ball, and making plays. We've talked about this before. Case in point, Jaden Reed has a deep pass just taken away from him for an interception. The guy just ripped the ball away from him. So great play by the defender. Give that Vikings defender credit. Jaden has to make that play. He has to make that play for his quarterback.
By the way, really quickly, I saw that happen right in front of me, and Jaden Reed just didn't try. He just saw the ball, and he was trying to grab it, and then he just was, nah. It was like he just said, I don't want it. And that was, to me, part of the game where I went, are you kidding me? Like, you should be fighting and scrapping for it. And he didn't. He just stopped. He just stopped.
Yep. So, John, mistakes, can't catch the ball. Third thing, Jordan Love was sacked 4 times. 4 times. The Packers' offensive line just hasn't been able to protect him effectively enough. Yes, he needs to get rid of the ball. However, the middle of our line, they even forgot to block a defensive tackle on a run play up the middle. I think that was that whole, so I know that it doesn't have to do with pass protection, but that was blatant. That was on, I think it was a 3rd down or 4th down play, and Dylan was trying to get the first down, and he ran right into the guy because that's where the play was going. Was not Dylan's fault, and
it was
just
Josh Myers.
Tells you that they don't know what the heck they're doing. They just
Josh
don't know
Myers
what the heck they're doing.
block.
Why?
Nope.
Exactly. Went the wrong way. So the play is going right. He went left and didn't block the guy that was right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So the fourth thing, the run game hasn't been good, which
Mm-hmm.
in turn hasn't taken the pressure off of our young quarterback. So again, we're mentioning that again. That's sorry, fans. That's the fourth thing. The fifth thing, this is really the number one reason. The number one reason for Jordan Love's lack of success and development. He has been incredibly inaccurate, especially on throws over 20 yards. John, you in agreement with that? That has to get better. Otherwise, he is not going to be a professional quarterback. He's not going to be an NFL quarterback. They are going to just dare him to throw it over the top because he can't do it accurately. He just can't. He has really been an issue. Mm-hmm. How do the Packers fix this? How do they fix Jordan Love's accuracy problem? Okay, well, in the offseason, this is number one. This is the number one. This is the blueprint right here. In the offseason, hire a new offensive coaching staff right away. Josh Allen had an offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll who was able to get in Josh's ear and whisper things like, don't force throws into double and triple coverage. Take what the defense gives you and throw it decisively there. Keep it simple and keep yourself in the game by not taking on and hurdling defensive backs. Brian Daboll was an offensive and still is an offensive guru who filled the Bills' offensive playbook with plays designed to bring out Josh Allen's talents like arm strength, running ability, improvisation, and so on. These plays were cutting edge and evolved as time went on. Matt Laflueer and his staff have been called out on a lack of this numerous times, a lack of cutting edgeness, a lack of evolving and coming up. They know what they're going to do, John. They know the opposing coaches know what they're going to do.
Absolutely.
So the schemes that other offensive teams, other teams are using, other offenses are using, we aren't, evolving and changing and coming up with things and coming up and scheming plays, scheming people open. So I just could rant on this. Oh my gosh. Second thing, Brian Gutekunst made 3 critical errors. We've talked about this again, but we have to bring it up. The Packers roster doesn't have enough veteran leadership in the quarterback room or the wide receiver room. The offensive coaching staff doesn't have the right leadership to nurture and develop a young quarterback. They just don't. And the third thing, the offensive line wasn't stalwart enough to overcome injury, block for its running backs, or protect its quarterback. Higher draft capital needs to be spent on its offensive line in the 2024 draft. And I said it again. Sorry, people, but it's true. Last thing, hire a quarterback whisperer right away. A quarterback whisperer. Bring in somebody outside of the Packers organization to work with the decision-making and mechanics of Jordan Love, because there is something wrong with his mechanics. There's been some throws, John, that occasionally it nosedives down. Have you seen that occasionally? He's trying to throw it up in the air and it comes. Okay. So I just don't know what, those are 3 things, 3 suggestions, hopefully a blueprint to try to get things turned around, but they've got to help them out, just like John said. So, John, any other words of wisdom you might have on that?
Yeah. So what the weird thing is that Tom, Clements is back, who helped develop Aaron Rodgers. But when they hired him, I said to myself, Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers. Okay, it's apples and oranges. So why did you hire a guy who retired 2 years ago, came back because Aaron Rodgers said, "Hey, I need you back, buddy. Come and help me." By the way, Aaron Rodgers had one of his worst seasons under Tom Clements, second time around. And guess who's having a really bad season now? So do I blame Tom Clements? Yeah. No. Is he part of the problem? Yes. Is Laflueer part of the problem? Yes. Is our offensive coordinator and all those other things? Yes. They're all part of the problem.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, you go and look at there's plenty of things on YouTube. And I highly recommend, I'll get a couple of the names and I'll bring it up next episode. But Andy brought up against the Broncos, we need to run Miami's plays, just run those. So this guy did the same thing you said, and he took Miami's plays, what they ran with Mike McDaniel, and then he took Matt Laflueer running the same play, which is hilarious. And he was like, yes, Matt Laflueer ran the same play, but he ran it with a tight end instead of a running back. He ran it with a receiver instead of a running back. Like, he says, Mike McDaniel, he puts guys in there like, I'm going to use speed against you. I'm going to use my speed against you. And guess what? We have two guys on the team I know that run 4.3, if not lower. So, especially Christian Watson, they showed a play with I forget his name, Cheetah. I know his nickname is Cheetah, and I always forget his name.
Tyreek Hill.
His nickname.
Yep.
Thank you. So they were showing him.
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much. So they showed Tyreek Hill coming, and watch a Miami game. They run this play like 2 or 3 times, and Tyreek Hill came in motion. And as soon as he got to the line of scrimmage, zoom, he took off. And the linebacker was like, can't cover that guy. Never going to happen. And guess what? They Tua hits him, on the run. It wasn't a touchdown, but I think he got to like the 10-yard line. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. He got Christian Watson. So just have come into motion and take off. And it was a simple, basically slant. It was just throw the ball to the spot. So they showed it. This guy did a great job of diagramming. Like I said, I'll bring up next episode. But he said, you're throwing to a spot, and I'll guarantee you nobody's going to catch him because why? It's the guy's going full speed. He's running full speed. So all you have to do as a quarterback say, I got to throw it at the 30. So here I go. And then I thought when I was watching this, wait a minute. Jordan Love can't do that yet. So I get it why you put a tight end in where Jordan Love doesn't have to be like, I have to be accurate. I still got to get it there. Well, a tight end is not going to run a 4.340. Pretty much not going to do it. So that gives him an opportunity to throw. But they were just showing how Laflueer takes Mike McDaniel and screws it up. He takes the same thing Mike McDaniel's doing and has scoring 70 points and 40 points and 30 points and totally screwing it up. And I'm like, Dave, like he's doing it right, but no one's telling him in the film room, like, Matt, why are we putting Musgrave out there to do a thing Tyreek Hill does? Why don't we bring Christian Watson in there, Jaden Reed? They're pretty fast guys. Nah. So anyway, it was just really interesting. And I'll share it. So again, Packer Blitz fans, it's not like Matt Laflueer isn't trying to scheme things open for Jordan Love. He's just doing it wrong. And that is an indictment of your head coach. So that's all I have to say on that one.
So let's talk about that Packers performance on Sunday, John. Let's talk about that. You got to experience it.
Yes, I did.
Well, John, Packers Blitz fans, you're about to find out. According to Justice Mosqueda of AcmePackingCompany.com, this is a quote from him. Listen very carefully.
I will.
This Packers team isn't worth your time. Youth is no longer an excuse for the Packers on-field product. Youth doesn't mean that you don't get to learn what routes you're supposed to run. Youth doesn't mean that in 25 first-half drives, you're allowed to score just 9 points. So no, I don't blame anyone for tuning out of a bad product. Watching an offense run a modified practice on a broadcast. End quote. John, what do you think about that one? You witnessed it. You saw people leaving with 3 minutes left or whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The product on the field hasn't been good. So John, so John, Packers fans, Packers Blitz fans, here's some dictionary words to describe the Packers' offensive woes on Sunday. This is coming directly from the former English teacher right now. Putrid. Putrid, ooh. Packers Blitz fans, means very unpleasant, repulsive. Putrid. Banal. So lacking in originality as to be obvious and boring. And the last one, John. So we got putrid and banal. Last one, feckless. Listen to this one. Lacking initiative or strength of character, irresponsible. The last one is directed at the players and the coaching staff. Get your act together. Get your act together, Packers defense. No Justin Jefferson. Just let Kirk Cousins, KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson light you up over and over and over again. Even Cam Akers was able to run right through the defense for a score. I did want to point out that Kirk Cousins looked very crisp, accurate, and decisive with the football, unlike Jordan Love. Kirk's a good guy. The injury was a devastating thing to see. Hopefully his career will continue with another winning organization. I'll say it again. A Packers Blitz special announcement. Cousins will not be the Vikings quarterback next year. We said that several episodes ago. Even before the injury, they will have to move on from Kirk Cousins. There were a few stars on the Packers D, John, just to make it a little bit more positive. Devondre Campbell had 14 tackles. 14 tackles, John. Back from injury, came back, played really well. Preston Smith had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Kenny Clark also had a sack. Figured I mentioned that. It was nice to see some veterans making plays. We talked about that in the previous podcast also. However, the Packers are not getting off the field and cannot create turnovers. According to Wendell Ferreira, who covers the Packers and the NFL for A to Z Sports, here's a quote from him. Jair Alexander, for instance, is playing the worst football of his career. The cornerback was beaten by rookie Jordan Addison multiple times, and there was no answer. Considering Jair's price tag, it wouldn't be absurd to consider a trade, end quote. So, John, you brought this up before. I know you really love Jair, but I know that you don't want to hear it. So, Alexander this season has 12 tackles on the season, 2 passes defensed, and no interceptions in 2023. It's no wonder the Packers rank an abysmal 28th in takeaways for a reason this season. 28th in takeaways. The only positive thing that I want to talk about is the Packers special teams play. For the second week in a row, the special teams blocked a field goal attempt. And Mr. Simone Biles, Jonathan Owens made a great play, caught it, and took it back for a nice return. This time, it was John's guy, Carl Brooks, blocking the field goal. Did you know that, John?
Yes, I did.
Yep, he blocked it. Josh Whelan, the punter, was booming punts 50-plus yards all day. And Anders Carlson again can make a kick or two, can he, John? So he's looking really good as well. So that's pretty awesome. Just really I figured I'd end with that.
Yeah, really quickly, and we'll do this 2 Packers Blitz offensive defense players of the game, so we don't forget that again. So Anders Carlson, and I'm not kidding, folks, he was kicking from midfield, yes, the G in the middle field, and he made 2 out of 3 field goals. I'm not kidding you. I couldn't believe it.
At Lambeau in the cold?
At Lambeau.
What?
2 out of 3. Now, did they go crossing over the bar? No. But did they make it? Barely, but they made it. And I was like, and I was with my friend Darren, he doesn't care. But I said, that's insane. Like he now granted he had it like not on a tee, but he had it on one of those things, whatever you call it, special little holder things. Yeah. And the third one that he missed, maybe the wind took it. So I was like, okay, Matt Laflueer, if you're literally on the 45 and you can't get anywhere, just to send them out, get some points. I don't know if you'll make all of them, but I could not believe it. It was crazy.
Got to score points somehow, John. Might as well use him as a weapon, right? Use him. Give him a shot. Why not?
One other quick thing. Let's just do this really quickly because this is going to be easy. Packers Blitz offensive player of the game. Andy is.
No idea. Who?
Good. That's right.
It might have been Jaden Reed. I think he had 80 some yards.
Yeah.
But that one play was a killer that he dropped that pass.
Yeah.
Or actually not dropped it. He got it taken away from him and
six drop passes. So offensive player of the game. I'm gonna give it to AJ Dillon again. He was running hard. He was really running hard. He's really starting to show either one. If you trade me, okay, look what I can do. Yeah. Defensive player of the game.
I think he rushed. I think he had. Well, just to cut you off a second, John. He had 6 rushes for like 11 yards. Where he excelled was in the passing game. He did really well.
Catchy.
I think he had several catches.
I should have made that clear.
Oh.
Should have made that clear.
Okay.
Defensive player of the game. I'm going to go with Preston Smith. I thought he played really well. Andy, agree? Don't agree?
Yep.
Okay.
I totally agree. That's why I brought him up.
Yes, he played really well. And I think, again, he's on the trade block, both him and Dillon. So don't be surprised, Packer fans, tomorrow or maybe later tonight, those guys are traded. So don't, we're cleaning house. Get what we can get.
Preston Smith, and I'm glad he had a great game. He's been a great player for us and real role model for the young players. So sad to see him go. He's been a great player.
So sad to see him go. Yeah. So Rams coming in. Let's talk about it.
Why not? Yeah, it's Sunday. This Sunday, November. I forgot to put the date. Well, November
Doesn't
something.
matter.
What would it be?
Whatever.
The 5th. November 5th.
5th. There we go.
It's the 5th.
If you say the Packers are favored again, I'm going to smack you. If you say the Packers are favored again, I'm going to smack. Oh God damn!
Yep. So the game's at noon. Games at noon on Fox. Packers are favored. There's some of the gurus have them 2.5 point favorites. Some have them at 3 points. Yeah, they're favored again. Unbelievable. We told Vegas to stop doing this, but they keep doing it. So. All right. Yep, and the over-under is 39.5 points, which is pretty darn low for an NFL game. So the recent history, John, this is kind of interesting. And I know, we're just going to be over an hour again. The Rams and the Packers have met 10 times since 2006. Green Bay is an impressive 8-2 in 10 meetings. 8-2, John. In their most recent game, the Packers defeated the Rams 24-12 last December. The last 3 games have been at Lambeau Field, where the Packers have gone 3-0 against the Rams. Laflueer is 3-0 against the Rams head coach Sean McVay since taking over in Green Bay. John, Packers fans, this is just like all the problems that this franchise has had playing head-to-head against the San Francisco 49ers. Just like the 49ers are our kryptonite, the Packers are the Rams' kryptonite. Of course, that's in reference to Superman. Yeah, so actually, I'm kind of feeling good about this. I'm getting ahead of myself, John, but
keep going.
So let's talk about the Rams. The 2-5 Packers and losers of 4 games in a row are possibly lucking out again because the 3-5 Rams starting quarterback Matthew Stafford suffered a right thumb injury. He's not left-handed. His throwing hand, right thumb injury during the 43-20 drubbing by the Dallas Cowboys. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reported that the x-rays have at least returned somewhat good news and that Stafford's status for Sunday is still, in quotes, up in the air. He is officially listed as questionable by the Rams. So we're lucking out with that, possibly. Starting running back Kyren Williams is on IR and still is. He was one of the NFL leaders with 456 rushing yards when he went down a few weeks ago. The Packers are lucking out on that as well. Star wide receiver Cooper Kupp is back from injury. Since week 5, he started off. He had 8 catches for 118 yards, no touchdowns. The next week, week 6, 7 catches, 148 yards, and a touchdown. Week 7, this is where it changed. 2 catches, 29 yards, no touchdowns. And last week, John, Packers fans, Packer Blitz fans, 4 catches, 21 yards, no touchdowns. So last couple weeks, he hasn't looked very good. Kupp, we might be looking out again. Kupp has been peppered with passes. Try to say that several times. As usual, he's been peppered with passes, but with not a lot of production to show for it again in the last few weeks. So, rookie wide receiver sensation Puka Nacua, 5th rounder out of BYU, has been awesome. His stat line so far, John. 5th rounder, 61 catches, 795 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's his stat line.
Wow.
I wish one.
Never heard of the guy.
I wish one. Yeah, he's been awesome. He took over for Kupp while he was out. And now that he's back, he's still doing really well. I wish just one of our wide receivers, had been that good or has been that good, and they just haven't, have they, John? The Rams D is below average and was expected to be that way after they traded all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins before the season. The perennial all-pro and game record defensive lineman Aaron Donald is still with the club. He's done okay this year. He's not been the total game record that he normally is, but he's been doing all right. Linebacker Ernest Jones, who is a tackling machine, by the way, is the only other player of note on the Rams D. So they have a bunch of just guys, but they've been performing better than some people thought they were going to. But lately, not so much. They gave up 43 points to Ellis last week. So the Packers. John, anything on the Rams before I move on to the Packers?
Nope.
Okay, so basically what's been happening lately is that a lot of self-inflicted wounds, basically a death by 1,000 cuts. We have the 6th most penalties entering last week in the league, the 6th most. We're the 9th in drop passes. We're 31st in time of possession now. We're even worse than we were before. We're in the bottom half of the league in 3rd down conversions, which had been a strength, but now we're getting, we're not doing very well with that either. The Packers have only converted just 42% of their red zone attempts into touchdowns. by the way. This has been a recipe for the Packers losing 4 straight, and the Packers don't seem poised to change that anytime soon. So, John, anything on the Packers? People basically know how we've been playing, and I didn't decide to talk about too much regarding that.
And we already talked about, all that. So let's go on to our prediction.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were both correct last week. Great job, John.
Yeah,
I guess.
I guess.
So, John, your prediction, you're 4-3 on the year so far. What are you predicting for the game?
The losing continues. We lose 28-17. The Rams, we are now officially the get right team. We are the team on the schedule that people go, oh, we're playing the Packers. That's a win. Doesn't feel good, does it, Packer fans?
Okay, so 28-17, John.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on that?
No. I'm just gonna stay with that.
So, not that we're keeping track, but I'm 5-2 on the year. The Packers are going to win this game, 20-16 over the Rams.
All right,
and that's regardless of whether Matthew Stafford plays or not. If he does play, we're probably less likely, of course, to win. But there probably is. I would expect him to play because he usually finds a way to play. But it is his throwing hand, his right hand, so he's got to be able to grip the ball. So they thought he had fractured it, and supposedly the X-rays came back negative, I would assume. So I do feel good about which team they're playing, the Rams, and the Packers won't lose a third game at Lambeau in a row. So if they lose again, they'll be 3.
By the way, Andy, the longest home game losing streak in Green Bay Packers history. How many games was it?
Oh gosh.
Take a guess.
Oh, I don't.
Take a guess.
6.
Ooh, 7 games. We did it 2 different times.
Okay.
And those one was in the 40s. One was in the 40s. And can you guess what era the second time we did it? Take a guess.
The 80s.
It's pretty obvious. Yay! Yes, in the 40s, late 40s and 80s, we lost at Lambeau 7 games in a row.
Wow.
So
very interesting.
Very interesting. There you go.
So if the Packers cannot win this game at home, then they cannot win any game.
No.
Period.
No.
Especially if Stafford doesn't play. If you can't win this game, you can't win any of them. So they again have been handed a victory. They need to take advantage of it and beat the Rams. And hopefully that happens. I've got them winning, John. I may come to regret it.
Positive.
But,
no.
Yep. History dictates that we're going to win. So
yes.
So here's my upbeat conclusion to the podcast, John, and then I'll let you have at it. Like many loyal Packer fans out there, I don't feel very good about the current state of affairs with the Packers front office, the Packers coaches, and the Packers roster. Sorry to be a downer. However, I do think that the play calling, coaching staff won't be as banal. The players' jobs assignments won't be as feckless as before, and the overall level of play won't be as putrid. As a result, Packers win this week. Maybe even the Packers front office will score us all a win by trading some of the players on expiring contracts or ones who just don't fit into the long-term plans for the team. Goody, the trade deadline is tomorrow. So happy Halloween to everyone. I will personally eat 3 full-size candy bars tomorrow. One one candy bar to inspire Goody to make a trade or two, one to inspire Matt LaFleur's modern offensive play calling. I hope that starts. And one to inspire all Packers players to give some more inspiring play for their beloved Packers fans. John?
Very nice. Very nice. That was very sweet and salty. That's the way I like things, man. So again, one of the main things, like Andy said, is this, and we've all said, first of all, we've learned in this episode, we're in uncharted territory. Okay, this is not supposed to happen. Did we think there'd be growing pains? Absolutely. Is it all Jordan Love's fault? No. Is it Matt LaFleur? Is it Tom Clements? Is it, Goody? Is it Mark Murphy? Yeah. They all need to sit down and say, hey guys, what's the solution? Don't cause problems. When I sit with my teams, when I've been in management and I'm a manager now, I always tell my teams when we face a problem, look, I don't need more problems. I need solutions. I don't need excuses. I need solutions. So if the solution is to trade a couple players, get some draft picks, okay, that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. If the solution is to say, hey, this is my fault. I take it upon myself. I'm going to put in extra time with Jordan this week. Okay, great. That's the way to be a positive team. And when you go to the territory, sometimes you find treasure, right? Maybe find some sweet stuff, but also you find spooky stuff, right? You might find a monster or two. And right now we're seeing nothing but monsters and horror, which is perfect for Halloween. That's what we're seeing. So Andy and I, just like all these Packer fans out here, we need to represent, we need to stay positive. Yes, but we also be realistic, right? And that's the main thing, is when we have an opportunity to talk about the Packers, Andy and I be realistic, but we're also going to try to find solutions and trying to find a way to make this better. So that's all I have to say. I wish everyone a happy Halloween. Be safe out there. And again, rate us 5 stars. Make sure you listen to us on wherever you listen to your favorite podcast for Packers Blitz. Like I said, too, we're also on YouTube. You can listen to us on there. I put some clips on. Please check them out. They're me at the game. Yes, I make some comments about the Vikings sucking, but I will not take that back and not apologize to Viking fans about that. But I do wish, Kirk Cousins all the best. He's a good guy. He's a good player. And I hope he can recover, and I hope everything works out with him, whether with the Vikings, which Andy and I doubt, or with another team. So that's it for our Halloween special here. Andy, anything else to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, a couple of things. Hopefully all of us get a treat on this coming Sunday, Packers victory. And happy Halloween, John. Happy Halloween, Packers Blitz fans out there and all Packers supporters out there.
Yes. All right, buddy. We have to finish. Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
All right, buddy. Love you. Talk later.